All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to DFS Army's Tournament Strategy Show, where we look at last night's slate, look at what went well, what might not have gone as well, and then we get to the interesting stuff. We look at today's slate, show you guys who we like, and, discuss the strategy of who we want to go over, under on, situations to avoid, things of that sort. B-Dubs, TK, how are you guys doing today?
Doing good. How are you?
Good.
Doing pretty
TK,
good.
you?
Yep, ready for the slate.
Yeah, it's gonna be an interesting one. The first in-season play-in tournament. How do y'all have any strong opinions on that or this in-season tournament situation at all?
I'm just hoping it makes games a little more competitive. I won't be going any different way about it like I do any other slate, but definitely hoping for more competitive games.
Yeah. What about you,
Yeah.
TK?
Yeah, I'm hoping to see maybe more minutes from some of the players. I think that's something to watch out for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, agreed. Just hoping it's a better game environment. Just something to be excited about. So we'll see. I'm sure there'll be some adjustments that hope happen over time, but I think it'll be exciting. This was the 100K winning lineup from yesterday. I think you'll see we were on a lot of these guys. There were some pieces that I wish we were a little bit higher on for sure. But overall, CJ McCollum, he was a core play. He was a lock on the pre-lock show. That was obvious. Jordan Clarkson, I believe he was a core play yesterday.
Yep,
Yeah,
he was core
for
play.
me and you, B-Dubs.
Yep.
Matt Ryan. He's the one that I do wish I got a little bit more exposure to. Did you get to him at all, Brandon?
Yeah, I put a 20% min on him just to be on the safe side, but hindsight, definitely wish I had more.
Yeah, agreed. Like I had some, but I needed a lot more. Herbert Jones, we talked about on the pre-lock show. We were on him. Were you around field weight, Brandon, over the field?
Yeah, I was slightly under. I was somewhere like around 10-15%. So definitely wish I got to a little more of him as well.
Yep. And then Joe Val, he was a core play. That was another obvious one.
Yep.
Cole Anthony, we had an exposure cap on him. I did take that off after we got the Fultz news because it just made more sense. Paolo Banchero, he was one where I definitely wish I got to him more than I did. I had some exposure, so was competitive there, but probably not enough. Same for you, Brandon, or?
I was naturally getting them and I kept them. It was somewhere between 30 and 40%. So, yeah, I had a nice chunk of him.
Yeah, you were over. That was nice. I think I was probably closer to field weight. I don't remember exactly. And then Devin Booker was the low-owned guy you needed. We mentioned him on the pre-lock show. We were like, if he plays, he's definitely in play. But yeah, you needed him.
Oh, yeah,
he was the one. Overall, decent night. Could have definitely been better, though.
Jordan
McNasty,
Hawkins. Oof.
Yeah. Hawkins hurt a lot of people, and especially me too last night. But that was last night. It was fun. Let's move on to the important stuff, though. Tonight, let's make some money. Let's look at this first game because there's already some question marks here. I know we like to pick on the Pacers typically, though. The Cleveland Cavaliers, they have Darius Garland listed as questionable, Jared Allen listed as questionable. TK, I'll start with you. What are you doing with the Cavs tonight?
Yeah, earlier I saw that Jared Allen and Garland, they went through shoot around. So if they play, I won't have any interest in Cleveland. But if both of them are out, I'll go to Evan Mobley. He's somebody I have interest in. If only Garland and Allen is out.
Okay. What about you, Brandon?
If Garland and Allen are playing, I actually have no issues getting some of them, especially if they're low owned. I know they've missed quite a bit, but it's the Pacers, so I think those could be some sneaky leverage plays. They both have good price tags. If they do play, that does make me like Mitchell and Mobley a little less, just because their prices are still up to where those guys are out. So it will be a little harder to get to them, but kind of like TK said, if Garland and Allen do end up missing, then I think you can go right back to Mitchell and Mobley. Even Mitchell at 10K without both of those guys, he could still get there against his team.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think the way this slate is kind of shaping up, there's some interesting games that people are going to want to target. It's The OKC Golden State Warriors game, I think people will want to take some shots in this Nuggets Mavs game, and then a lot of exposure in the Hammer game. That's where everyone's going to be loading up. I think this first game is just as good as those other game environments, and just like you mentioned, Brandon, this is where I want to get my leverage. Really, no matter what the injury news situation ends up being, kind of like y'all mentioned, if Garland and Allen play, I'm playing them. That's just set in stone. I already know it. I love the game environment. If they don't play, I agree with the guys you mentioned. But LeVert and Strus in particular is one guy that I'll be very, very, very over the field on, depending on where his ownership is. So I love the Cavs tonight. Long story short. Anyone else we should mention here, guys?
He's more of a play if Garland is out, but Okora is always worth a mention too. He's been playing solid minutes and actually looking pretty good this season. So honorable mention there.
Yeah. The Pacers play at a fast pace, and they are a bad defense. So we love attacking them, and we love seeing them on slates. The Pacers in particular, though, of course, we have a questionable tag that makes things always a little bit more complicated here. Tyrese Halliburton is questionable. Jalen Smith is questionable. Brandon, are you playing any of these Pacer guys?
Of course, it's really dependent on the Halliburton news for me. So if he's out, I think you can go back to guys like Hill, Brown. I want to say McConnell too, but he got priced up to 5,400, so he might be a little harder to play. And then Mathurin as well. If Halliburton does play and is low owned, I don't mind getting some leverage there as well, because I say it all the time how much I love Halliburton. So,
yeah, agreed. What about you, TK?
Yeah, I concur with B-Dub. If Halliburton in, I want to play some of him. If he's out, I'll get to Bruce Brown, Hill, and also Miles Turner. I think Miles Turner is a good center play today. He's somebody I have interest in, and yeah, we just gotta wait and see.
Yep, I think my thought process for the Pacers today is going to depend on the injury news. So the Cavs have been not a good defensive team when Jared Allen doesn't play. And so if Jared Allen is out, then I'm playing Miles Turner. I'm open to playing Halliburton, and I completely with what you all said, depending on that injury news. If Jared Allen is playing, I'm a lot less interested in the Pacers tonight. So I'm just really letting my exposure focus around that piece of injury news. Let's see. Good to see everyone in the chat. I hope y'all are doing well. Ewok, TDC, appreciate the shout out on Victor. Yeah, that was a decent leverage play last night. Glad that one panned out.
If we had our version of the turd hat like in our NFL shows, I would wear that. So I definitely give you your flowers for the Victor call.
Hey, well, I appreciate it. Are safe to move on? Anyone else we should talk about here?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I agree. Next up, we have a game that I feel like a lot of people are talking about. We'll start off on the Knicks side of it. RJ Barrett is questionable. I think that does matter a good bit here. But TK, I'll start with you. Any of these Knicks guys standing out for you?
Yeah, I'll start with Brunson and Randall. I like those guys today. Those guys are 8,300, 8,200. The Bucks defense hasn't been good this year.
Yep.
Also, if Barrett is out, I think Josh Hart he'll look like a good value play because he'll be starting again. So those are the guys I have for the Knicks.
Yep. Anyone else you want to add, Brandon?
Yeah, I love this side of the ball. As TK mentioned, the Bucks have been one of the worst defensive teams so far this season. So Brunson and Randall will be top guys for me. And then I'll follow suit on Josh Hart. Couple more guys that will be in play is Mitch Robb. He's still at a pretty decent price, and he's had some solid games this year. And then even Emmanuel Quickly is worth a mention too. I wish he was a little cheaper, but he's another solid guy on this team.
Yeah, I agree. I like picking on the Bucks here. In particular, I think I'll get Julius Randle exposure naturally just because he's projecting well in the Domination Station. But Jalen Brunson's the one guy who I'm keeping a close eye on that ownership. He's in consideration for me on this slate as a leverage play. Just because the Bucks have not been good against guards this year, and there's one particular reason for that. Holiday being gone and Lillard being on this team. So like you all, I like this team tonight, and I plan on having exposure to it, especially if Barrett ends up being out. Safe to move on, I think. And appreciate y'all in the chat. Please do like and subscribe. It does help the channel grow a lot. I forget to mention it a lot, so I appreciate the reminders when you do. And I agree, TDC. I think Brunson definitely can cook Lillard tonight. But let's get to the other side of the ball. We have the Bucks going up against the Knicks, and not really any injury news to talk about here. Brandon, who's standing out for you?
It's always hard to figure out whether to go Giannis and Lillard, but especially Lillard with his price dropping, he'll be slightly interesting to me. Really, it's going to come down to ownership on those guys and whether I want to try to get some of them or not. And then I think Brook Lopez could be a sneaky guy tonight too. He's a guy, like, especially if he is super low on, he's typically a guy I like to get leverage on.
All right. What about you, TK? You like any of these guys?
Yeah, I agree with everything B-Dub said. And also with Lillard, earlier I did my crunches and I was getting a lot of him. So I think he's going to be chalk tonight.
Yeah.
I also think Malik Beasley, I think he's a decent play as of now. And yeah, that's all for the Bucks, I would say.
Yeah. I feel like things will balance out a little bit, but I do agree. As of right now, I'm getting a decent amount of exposure to Giannis and Damian Lillard, but to be honest, this isn't my favorite spot for them. I'm just kind of fine with them if they show up in my line. So it's not a situation that I'm going to force the issue one way or the other. If I get a good bit, I don't foresee myself trying to lower exposure to them, but it's also not a situation I'm trying to force the issue on. So I like the Lopez call. I need to look a little bit closer at that to see if I'll follow you on it, but I think that's an interesting spot. Anyone else we should touch on, guys?
It's hard for me to get to anybody else.
Yeah, I agree. Next up, we have another game that's not my favorite on the slate. For the Brooklyn Nets, Spencer Dinwiddie said he'll play, so we can take that into consideration. Dennis Smith Jr. is questionable. Nick Claxton's out. Cam Johnson's been out for a while. TK, are you liking any of the Nets today?
With the Nets, the only person I'm getting to is Ben Simmons. Other than that, I think everybody else is priced up or whether it should be. So for me, it's just Ben Simmons.
Yeah, I liked Ben Simmons a bit more when I thought Spencer Dinwiddie might not play. With Ben Simmons and Dinwiddie both playing, I'm just not as big of a fan. I mean, I think Simmons can definitely have the upside, especially if he scores, like we talk about all the time. I just don't know if he's going to, or if today is going to be the spot where he decides to get a little bit more aggressive. So I think it's totally fine to keep him in your mix, but I'm not super excited about really anyone from this game as of right now. Are you getting any, Brandon?
Yeah, I was trying to find one reason to like anybody on this side of the ball and couldn't do it.
Yeah, just not excited about it. So it was pretty safe for me to move on. Next up, we have the Chicago Bulls. Another team I'm not as excited about. We have Zach LaVine listed as probable. Outside of that, not really any crazy news that I'm nervous about. Brandon, are any of the Bulls standing out for you?
Yep, I see you like him too, but Vucevic is the biggest standout for me. He's in great form at the moment, put up back-to-back 50 burgers. So the Nets don't really have a true big down low, so I think this is another situation where he can dominate. So he'll definitely be my biggest priority. And then getting a mix of LaVine and DeRozan, I would be fine with. They're still in that 7K range, so I wouldn't be surprised if one of those guys pops off too. And a cheap value punt I could see would be Andre Drummond. He has a nice price tag and has been, I think, seeing around 20 minutes. So I think this is a situation for him as well to where he could pay that price tag off.
Yeah. What about you, TK?
Yeah, I agree with everything B-Dub said. Vujic, he should dominate here with Claxton out. I think he should dominate the board. He should play bully ball. And also, Drummond, he's a nice value at 3,700. So, I agree.
Yeah. We're desperate for value a little bit on this slate. So if I have to, I will, but I don't want to.
Yeah.
I'm hoping we get better value on the slate, but we'll see. Can't always get everything we want. But yeah, I like Vucevic a lot in this spot. Like you mentioned, Brandon, he's been in fantastic form. And also the Nets, Claxton's out. They don't really have a big that I'm overly concerned from like a matchup standpoint. So I like this spot for Nikola. So he's one guy I don't want to forget about. I do expect him to get a decent amount of ownership today. I think he'll be pretty popular, but we'll have to wait and see until these ownership projections pop in, until I make like a firm call on it one way or the other. And then Levine and DeRozan are always fine. They both can be explosive, but it's kind of anyone's guess on when they'll go off. And so I'm not going to be too excited about it one way or the other. All right. Next up, we have a more exciting game. But one thing, Mo, you're right. The DS does love Lillard right now, but the Domination Station, which is for VIP members at DFS Army, it does update throughout the day. So one philosophy I tend to have is that I will run the DS to see what it's doing early in the day, but I keep kind of like my thought process. The runs don't really matter too much, to be honest, just because things update so much just throughout the day. So don't pay too much attention to it just yet. And then also, if you all want to be able to join the pre-lock show, if you want to be able to use the Domination Station, click the link in the description, use promo code BDUBB for a 10% discount. And yeah, we'll be able to help you out from that standpoint. Moving on, we have a game that I'm actually a little bit more excited about. We have the Golden State Warriors against the Oklahoma City Thunder that have been surprisingly, not really that surprisingly, a bit better this year. The Warriors are pretty healthy tonight, though. Are any of these guys popping for you today, TK?
I'm not. Golden State. Everybody on that team is priced where they should be. I'm definitely going to get Steph Curry, or at least to try to force the Dom to get him. I wish Andrew Wiggins could see 30 minutes, but his minutes are, for some reason, he can't even get 30 minutes this year. I think as of now, Dario Saric, he's a nice value, but that's pretty much it from Golden State for me.
Yeah, from All-Star to where is he? It's crazy.
He looks so bad this year.
Yeah, it's tough. What about you, Brandon? Are you getting any exposure to these guys?
Yeah, I think Curry might go under the radar here. Yeah. So he might be somebody I try to get leverage on. Another guy who's in great form at the moment. You can make a case for Clay. I just wish he was a bit cheaper, but I think this type of game environment, he could be a viable option. And then it's worth noting that Draymond Green, he saw an increase in minutes last game and played 28. So if he can continue to see around 30 minutes at that price in this game environment, I think that's another viable option.
Yeah, I agree with you on Clay and Draymond. I want to see where their ownership falls. I don't expect them to be super chalky, but if they're very, very under-owned, I'm willing to go slightly over the field on them, but I'm not passionate enough about them to have like 20, 30% of them on a slate like this. But 5, 10, 15%, that would be nice. And then Curry, like you both mentioned, I like him here as a leverage play. He's going to be low owned tonight. There's no reason for him to be super chalky in comparison to guys like Damian Lillard, who has a price drop, things of that sort. So he's going to not be super popular. So I want to make sure I'm at least slightly over the field on him today. On the OKC side of things, we do have a big injury here. SGA, the lead point guard, who's been a little bit expensive this season, is out. How are you reacting to this news, TK? Like, who are you trying to get in your lineups because of that? Or does it change anything for you?
Yeah, I think this OKC side is more attractive. I'm definitely going to be getting to Giddy because last season when Shea was out, he had a 26.3 usage rate and the assist rate was a 33.9%. So I think he looks good here. If I think Isaiah Joe should start, so I think that could be some nice value at 4,200 on DK. I think Holmgren looks good, and I'm also going to get some Jalen Williams too.
Yeah, you're not wrong. What about you, Brandon?
Yeah, Giddy, for sure. They were quick to raise that price on him because I think last game he was like 6,900. So I wish he was a little bit cheaper, but he has triple double upside without SGA, so no issues getting there. Got to mention Chet; he's looking so good so far, and we talk about attacking Golden State down low all the time, so this should be a smash spot for him. And then Jalen Williams and even Lou Dort are two guys in that mid range where I'll probably be getting to as well.
Yeah, I agree with y'all's thoughts. The one thing that does make me a little bit nervous about this situation, especially when we look at usage rates from last year, is Chet. Him being on this team really does change the dynamics. For instance, a guy like Lou Dort typically saw a nice increase in usage when SGA is out. This season, Lou Dort has been nowhere to be seen outside of playing his typical decent defense. So from an offensive standpoint, he has been uninvolved. But SGA is gone. So like you mentioned, Brandon, I do still want to take shots on guys like Dort, Williams, Chet, and Giddey to some extent, but Giddey's on my radar as a guy that I might be open to not going over the field on just because he is already priced up. So I like Giddey tonight. I'm not fading him, but I'm probably not going over the field on him, to be honest. The starting lineup, I've seen so many different variations of potential starting lineups for this team. I don't even want to guess, but we're probably going to have to if we don't get the starting lineup in time. I've seen Isaiah Joe pop in there. I've seen Aaron Wiggins pop in there. Some really gross names. I think we've all been burned by this team over the years in situations like this. Are y'all trying to take any shots here?
It really depends on that starting line, but I'm not going to like it, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
What about UTK? Aaron Wiggins, Isaiah Joe at all?
Yeah, like B-Dub says, I want to wait till the starting lineups go out. Hopefully we can get it before lock. Especially if we don't have any value on the slate so far. So it's just gonna depend.
Yeah, agreed. And I think for me too, per usual, nothing's ever in a box, but if we get other injury news and other value, then I'll be more open to taking shots on that value. Whereas if we don't get any more injury news, then that's when I'm more open to playing guys like Isaiah Joe and Aaron Wiggins, just because it's the only option we have. Thomas, I agree with you. Chet's a really strong play. I don't want to say he's a core play yet, but he's definitely very, very viable in this situation.
Yep.
Moving on, we have the Washington Wizards against the Miami Heat. For the Wizards tonight, the main piece of news that we're looking at is that Corey Kispert is out. Looks like Gafford will play, so that's something we don't have to worry about here. Are any of these guys standing out for you, Brandon?
Not too much. Not my favorite matchup for them, and they're just looking so bad. I do like that the price on Tyus is dropping slightly.
Yeah.
And then I wouldn't mind like a small shot on Gafford too, because I do like that 5,100 price tag. But outside of those two, it's going to be pretty hard to get here for me.
Yeah. What about UTK?
Yeah, Kuzma, he looks appealing. This is a difficult matchup, but at 7,800, he's somebody I would take a stab at, especially if the field is low on him. So I would say keep an eye out for Kuzma.
Yeah, no, I get that thought process. I think for me, when it comes to this team, I'm not super excited about them, but y'all know how I play. I care so much about cheap guys who have a high usage rate. I'm always going to attack them to some extent, and I like even more when they're low owned. So Jordan Poole's freaking awful. He's not good. He's not a good player, but he shoots a ton. He has a 30% usage rate, and he's below 8K. And for me, I'm always going to play guys like that. The matchup's not great, but you can shoot threes against this team, and especially when you're a guy who just doesn't care. So as long as that shot starts falling, Jordan Poole will be in my player pool tonight to some extent. Ideally, he'll be next to 0% owned, so having 5 to 10% will put me significantly over the field, and I'll be in a good spot if he does well, and I'll be fine if he fails like most of us expect him to. Anyone else we should talk about here, guys?
I don't think so.
No.
Okay.
I thought it was funny. The other game, they were down by like 20 points, and then Jordan Poole just throws a oop off the backboard to Kuzma. I was like, you gotta be kidding me.
He's so bad. He's so bad. I think that's part of it. Like, you just have to know you're playing a bad player when you play them in DFS. Like, you're not expecting them to go off, but you just have to know the potential's there. Let's see. For the Heat, they are looking pretty healthy. Jimmy Butler's probable. Kevin Love is probable. Well, he's available. Caleb Martin is out. Nothing too crazy here. Brandon, are you getting to any of these guys today?
Yeah, the main trio will be kind of appealing for me, especially if they're lower owned, because like I said, Washington is so bad defensively. Like Butler, he'd probably be the main guy I want to take a shot on. 8,400 for his upside is too cheap in this matchup. And then I wouldn't be surprised if Bam or Hero popped off this game too, especially Hero. He's in amazing form right now. And then worth noting that Josh Richardson, his minutes are going up from coming back from that injury. He has been shooting pretty bad, but 4K guy who's seeing like 20 plus minutes, it's appealing to me in this kind of matchup.
Yep. What about you, TK?
Yeah, I agree. I'm going to be on this trio because Washington do have bad defense, and can one guy out of Butler, Bam, and Hero have a huge game and be in the winning lineup? Yes. And then we all know attack. Same thing with the Washington Wizards when it comes to centers. Attack them. So I think Bam is going to look good here, and I'm definitely going to be over the field on Hero, Bam, and Butler.
Yeah, I agree with what y'all are saying. I don't know if I'll be over the field, and honestly, I'm not going to force any of these guys in. But if I get exposure to these guys naturally, I'm totally fine with it, because like you mentioned, this is a fantastic matchup for them. I just have no idea which one of these guys is going to be. So when I don't know, I prefer just to kind of trust the Domination Station with it. So when we get on the pre-lock show, I'm over the field on these guys, I'll be happy about it. But if they're not there, I'll be totally cool with it too. Next up, we have two of the games on the slate that I'm a little bit more excited about. We have the Dallas Mavericks against the Denver Nuggets. On the Mavericks side of things, we do have news to look out for. Kyrie Irving is questionable once again. Maxi Kleber is questionable also. Doesn't really matter as much here. B-Dubs, what are you doing with this team today? 13K Luka.
13K Luka. That's tough. That's real tough. I don't know if I can get there tonight, especially with if more value opens up, I'd be more willing to go there. But as of now, I probably won't have much, if any, of Luka. One guy I definitely have to mention is Grant Williams.
Yeah.
That dude has been looking good. Like, he's last game jacking up threes like he's Curry. Like he's somebody, especially if he's low on, he's somebody I'm going to get leverage on for sure.
What about you, TK?
Yeah, if Kyrie Irving is in, then I probably won't have too much exposure to this Dallas team. Unless Kleber is out, then I definitely have interest in Derek Lively, because his minutes should go up. But if Kyrie is out, then I think I'll get some Tim Hardaway at 5,500. So he's definitely somebody I have an eye out for.
Yeah, no, I agree with that thought process completely. I think if Irving's playing, I'm not super excited about it. If Irving's out, I'm definitely more interested in Grant Williams. One thing and one shout out I'll give to you, B-Dubs, is that you've been on Grant Williams since day one of this season. You saw this coming when no one else was talking about it. So You gave me the flowers on Victor. You've been on him early, so that was a good call. You saw it coming. Moving forward, also the Nuggets have been a good defense in general, so just not a team I like to pick on too much. For the Nuggets tonight, though, it looks like we do have some guys listed as probable. Jokic is probable. Murray is probable. Brown is probable, and then that's pretty much it. TK, what are you doing with the Nuggets tonight?
Yeah, with the Nuggets, I'm definitely gonna be on Jokic at 12,000. I think he's more playable than Luka. I think Jamal Murray is a nice GPP play, but other than those two, I'm not really getting to nobody else.
Yeah. What about you, Brandon?
Yeah, especially if Jokic is low owned, I don't mind getting there because I like attacking his Dallas team down low as well, and Joker should be able to do whatever he wants here. Murray, I'm a huge fan of him. I'm not sure where I'll land when we get closer to slate, but if his ownership is low, I don't mind getting some leverage on him as well. And then Eric Gordon and MPJ are always two guys where I'm fine with wherever the DS gives me. Am I going to force them in? Probably not, but I'm okay with them if I do get to them tonight.
Yep, I agree with you too, Thomas. I think this is a really good spot for Jokic. We talk about all the time. You can play bigs against this Mavericks team. Everyone else, like Murray, Gordon, MPJ, all these guys, they project well in the Domination Station because the Mavs are a bad defense. And like you mentioned, Brandon, getting exposure to these guys, I'm totally fine with, but not players I want more than 20% of, just because the Mavs do play at such a slow pace. It's typically hard for these guys to get there. My favorite, though, out of that group is Murray, obviously, but I do think Aaron Gordon's a little interesting in this spot, too. So I have some interest, but probably not a spot I'm going crazy on outside of Jokic. I feel like he's finally a decent leverage play again. He's not too popular. He's not too expensive. He's like right there in that middle spot. Last game on the slate, guys. We have the Memphis Grizzlies going up against the Trailblazers. From a Grizzlies standpoint, Aldama's doubtful, but nothing too crazy here. B-Dubs, do any of these guys stand out for you today?
Yeah. I see you share the same opinion, but I don't mind getting to Jaren Jackson tonight. This Portland team isn't really that great, so I think this is a good spot for him. That's kind of really the only spot I want to go. Some of these other guys are just priced up a little too high for me.
Yeah. What about you, TK?
Yeah, I'm definitely going to force Jaren Jackson, especially if the field's not on him. Portland is a terrible defensive team. I think Zaire Williams, he's a decent value as of now. Hopefully, some things open up. But other than that, yeah, I'm definitely going to force the dome on Jaren Jackson.
Yep. That was my thought process too. I knew I liked JJJ going in. As long as he doesn't see foul trouble, I think this is a good spot for him. That is a big if, but outside of that, I love the spot for him. So he's one of those guys I'm willing to force the DS to give me exposure to him. Let's see. Anyone else like you mentioned, Brandon, I think all these guys are priced pretty appropriately. There's not really anyone I'm trying to force here. Is Tillman interesting at all to you guys, though?
I'll be okay with a small percentage because, like we said, Portland isn't that great defensively. It's just not somebody I'm excited to play.
Yeah, I agree. It's just, I know we've seen this season Tillman have some big games and be very involved as a big. And so he's just one of those guys I don't want to forget about. Even though I like Jaren Jackson Jr., I don't want to lose track of Tillman today completely either. Now, the game that everyone and their mom will be getting exposure to, especially when it comes to Kamara. Sharp is probable. Scoot Henderson is out, so we don't have to worry about him acting crazy out there. B-Dubs, what are you doing with these guys?
Definitely getting some Sharp. He's been looking so good lately. I'm hoping Ayton is low on because he'll definitely be a leverage play for me. He's in great form as well. I think Brogdon is obvious, especially with Scoot being out. I'll be getting a lot of him. And then Jeremy Grant, he's another guy who should play a ton, decent price tag. And then probably will be one of the more popular value plays, Tumani Kamara. Like he's gonna look good tonight as well. So I'll be getting some shots on all these
guys for you, wasn't he? Maybe I don't know. I mean,
Yep.
I follow the preseason almost not at all.
Yeah, he looked good in the summer league too. So I know how well he can play, and he's been seeing solid minutes. So I'll definitely be getting a good chunk of him tonight.
Yeah. What about you, TK?
Yeah, I concur with B-Dub. I think the big four, Sharp, Aiden, Brogdon, and Grant, their usage should go up. Definitely going to get to those guys.
TK, I don't think anyone's ever called a big four. I think that, like, if they heard that, like, their hearts would be so full. They're like, finally getting the respect we deserve. But no, I get it. In the state of this slate, this is the big four. I agree.
Yeah, I mean, those guys look good. I'm definitely going to get to those guys. And Tamari Kamara, he's a good value play. He's going to be popular. So I'm definitely going to at least match the field with him. So, yeah, this Portland team looks good.
Yeah, like we've been saying it from the beginning, this game and this team in particular, they're going to be super chalky. And I'm going to eat that chalk because I think they're in a good spot here. So that's pretty much how I feel about the slate too. Nothing else really to add. That was the last game. Anything else y'all want to add before we kind of say goodbye? Any last thoughts, opinions? Nothing for you, Brandon? TK, anything for you?
I'll just say to just keep look out for the news and don't be afraid to get different.
Yep. And one of the best ways to follow the news is to be a DFS Army member in our Discord. Upper Slide does keep everyone in the loop on what's going on and good ways to pivot off of the news. And again, to become a DFS Army member, click the link in the description. Use promo code BDUBB for a 10% discount. We appreciate you guys for sticking it out with us. This is going to be a fun slate. So look forward to seeing everyone later today on the pre-lock show. And if not, on Monday. Have a good one, guys. Peace out.